Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome back. I adjusted my mic source just in time. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Transmissions from the Cave. It is very good to see you. Happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a very good day so far. Thank you for joining us for another day to talk comics. We are going to be talking about Becstar today, and I am so thrilled. It was such an excellent read. I tell you, every week I get to read something new and wonderful here, and I swear it. I absolutely swear it. Every week I'm like, no, this is the one. No, this is the one. Ooh, Kaylin Roar in the chat said, hey, y'all, thanks to these streams, I found out about Nottingham, which I always heard about as a failed screenplay, and man, that comic is great. It's a dang good comic. I also very, very much enjoyed Nottingham. That's really, really excellent. So I'm thrilled to hear it. Thank you. And thank you to everybody who's come over from my community here on Twitch, showing up to talk about comics. What a lovely thing. We get to talk about a lot of other things on the internet. So to have a space where we get to kind of share and book club a little bit about different forms of media is very, very special to me. So thank you for being here. If you've never been here before, hi, my name is Saige Ryan. I go by Not Sage everywhere on the internet. I am a host and content creator all over the dang place. And today we are going to be talking to the lovely Joe Corallo from Becstar, of course. Let's talk about a few things, Mad Cave. Then I'll tell you a little more about Joe, and then we'll go and get Joe. All right. We were, of course, going to have two guests today. We were going to have Lorenzo from Becstar as well, but unfortunately, he had something come up at the last minute and will not be able to join us today. So we just get some time to chat directly with Joe. So let's talk about what's new at Mad Cave this week. All right. Knights of the Golden Sunrise Knights of the Golden Sun issue 13. Is out. Becstar issue 4, which of course Becstar is what we're talking about today. We are on issue 4. We will be doing a giveaway in a little bit here. You know that we love to do a giveaway, obviously. We are going to be giving away the Becstar trade paperback, which is collecting issues 1 through 5. I think that's a pretty special giveaway today. That's one of the ones I've been most excited about so far. I think that's pretty exciting. So once we bring Joe in, we'll talk about it. I'll let you know when we're running the giveaway. You'll be able to enter and get that sent on to you. Right now, we've still got a nice little tight community. You have a great chance of winning, so stick around and make sure that you get a chance to enter to win. All right, let's talk a little bit about Joe, shall we? Joe Corallo, Eisner and Glad nominated, Ringo winner for Best Anthology in 2018, co-created and writes She Said Destroy at Vault Comics, edits Oh Shit, It's Kim and Kim at Black Mask Studios, The Mine Anthology at Comic Mix, and The Deadbeats Anthology at A Wave Blue World. We are so excited to have him on today. Of course, before we get into it, I do want to remind you that we always want to talk about BINC. BINC is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to assisting booksellers in need. And y'all, the time is now. The need is now. The BINC Foundation grew out of a wish for bookstore employees to establish a fund to help their colleagues experiencing unexpected financial crisis. BINC is dedicated to assisting bookstore and comic store employees across the United States in their greatest times of need. There is a link in chat of where you can go to donate. I would also recommend just finding out some more information. There's a bunch of other ways you can help if you are not able to donate right now. Spreading awareness is also one of the next best things that you can do, and is so appreciated, of course. Links Wilson said, what giveaway? In case you missed it, just as you were coming in, I think we talked about it right before you got here. This week we're giving away Becstar trade paperback, which is collecting issues 1 through 5. That's a pretty dang good giveaway today. I'm really excited about it. Thank you all for being here. Welcome in, everyone. A quick hello. Flannel Fries, Ray, hello. Akoto Roku, Avery Kaplan. I see Allie in the chat, and Frank, of course. Hello. I might have said Avery already. Avery, hello. Links Wilson, welcome in. Baby Magic, hello. Solid prize, right? Yeah, comics. Who would have thought? Come here to win comics? Unbelievable. Very exciting. So we will get to that in just a little bit. But first, let's jump in and have a conversation. I, of course, as always, time for me to win again. We'll see about that, Fat J. Fingers crossed for you, though. I'm going to play you the trailer for Becstar. You can check it out. If you haven't read any of Becstar yet, it's a good time to get a little information about it, see if it's something that you're interested in. And if the trailer doesn't convince you, I'm fairly certain Joe will be able to. So I am going to take you to the trailer right now, and I will be back in just a moment with our lovely guest. 1. Hello, everyone. We are back with Joe Corallo. Hello, welcome in. Joe, thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Everybody just got to see the trailer. I think for a lot of people, this might be your first introduction to Becstar. So,
Sure.
Joe, welcome and thank you for being here, of course, once again. I guess I'd like to start out by asking you, they've just seen the trailer. If they are not familiar yet with Becstar, what is the first thing that you would want them to know about the series that might be their final push to go grab it?
One of the first things to know about the series, which is something I didn't even consider, and then people had mentioned it after the fact, and I was like, oh, that is a good description, is Indiana Jones in space.
That explains everything I love about it.
Yeah, no, and I love Indiana Jones and I love space, and for whatever reason, I wasn't connecting that with when I was doing it, and then people were like, oh, it's like Indiana Jones, and I'm like, yeah, it is.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's exactly what I meant to do, of course. I was thinking that all along. Thank you for noticing.
Exactly.
Of course, absolutely. Do you have a genre particularly that inspires you? You said you like space and things of the sort.
Yeah, I like a lot of things. I mean, with something like this, there's definitely you get some elements of things like Cowboy Bebop. Definitely like a lot of space opera and things like that. So, I mean, it's with this, the genre is important and it's inspiring it, but I mean, the core of the story, not to sound too sappy, is friendship, and it's about those characters, and it's sort of the genre is the backdrop for the character drama throughout.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that comes across really, really well immediately in issue 1, that built these really, really defined and interesting characters that I am personally very attached to. Very quickly. I'm an emotional being. I'm there for character stories. So if you can hook me in issue 1 of like just caring for somebody, I'm sold. I'm in.
Thank you.
What about for you? What is it that makes you fall in love with a story or a comic?
Oh, I mean, there's different. I feel like with something like this, you put a little bit of your own experiences of the different characters, and I kind of split different parts of my own experiences between like Becstar and Sally. Obviously, not the collecting rare artifacts and space parts, but the just like the emotional core of those characters and what they're dealing with, because I think a lot of us have been on different sides of different different kinds of friendships, relationships we've had in our lives. So Becstar, how I made her relatable for me and drove her as I was writing her, was being at that point. I think a lot of people hit this point, between like their late 20s into later into their life, 30s and 40s, where there are a lot of people who are important in your life that maybe you saw them every day because they were in high school or college with you, or they were coworkers, and then you move on, and the same people who were important and were integral parts of your life are gone. And then you have, new people in your life, new coworkers, new friends. Maybe you go to grad school and you meet new people. You move into a new neighborhood, you meet new neighbors, and then those people become, the fixtures in your life. So the old life that Becstar had is represented through, Anissa, Turlo, Mordecai, and then the new life is, Sally, Paprika. So it's that balance, because I feel like a lot of times, people get nostalgic for the past, and sometimes you wonder where life took those people, or you try to catch up, and it's easy sometimes to get lost in that and not see the people who are there, checking in on you, wanting to see you, or wanting to be a part of your life. So it's that kind of balance that Becstar is going through, and then Sally, is on the other side of that. And I think a lot of us have also been on the other side of that, where you're like, you meet someone and they've got like like maybe it's a coworker, or any of those examples I listed, and it's like you should be closer, but there's like this wall up, or they're not, and it's like they're keeping you at a distance. And so I think all that's relatable, and we've all sort of been there. I think we've all had that like coworker or something like that where they're like, what's their problem?
Yeah.
Like, we're all trying to be cool here, and you just got a chip on your shoulder.
Right.
And you're trying to make them feel like welcome, like maybe they're like the new employers, and you're like, oh, come on, like, we're all going for drinks afterwards, and they're like, and it's just there's a distance there.
Yeah, hey, we're all stuck here for 8 hours together. Help me out. Give me something.
Yeah. So like Sally's like that, and that could be a new neighbor, it could be a classmate, it could be all sorts of things. So I think we've all sort of seen ourselves on either side of that, and that's sort of what Sally and Becstar represent through the comic.
That's really lovely. And it's so funny because, like, for the people who haven't read it yet, what they know so far about this comic is it's about relationships, it's relatability of relationships, but also Space Indiana Jones.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, what a wonderful polar opposite sides of the story that, like, grounds it in a cool way. But, like, I can guarantee that was a huge left turn from where anyone thought this conversation was going.
For sure, yeah.
The natural progression was not this, and I'm thrilled that we're here. Can you tell me a little more about how Becstar came to be for you? What was starting the process like?
Sure. That was basically, I had, was it Chris Sanchez originally had reached out, because, Mark London and some others at, Mad Cave were interested in the stuff I was doing with Liana over at Vault. She Said Destroy, which is available in trade, and you can read the first issue for free on Vault's website. But so anyone wants to check that out. But that was more of a science fantasy. That's a bit more of a like Sailor Moon, Final Fantasy by way of Star Wars kind of thing, with like Celtic gods and stuff. So in space, but
appealing to all of my sensibilities.
Right. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing that series, and they were interested and reached out to me, and they had this kind of a, like a nugget of an idea and a bit of an outline, and wanted to get me on board for that. And basically went through, made changes, streamlined it, changed the name, worked on some of the characters, came up with the story. So yeah, like it was, that sort of like core idea, from Mark, and then build it out, and I think I'm very happy with it.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it's come together so well. How long was that process from the initial reach out to now having it in people's hands?
I started working on this, oh god, I mean, probably I think it was around April, May of 2020.
Okay.
I really started working on it, and then I think I started scripting it like that spring, summer. And then just working through that through like the beginning of the year, like the whole, like the script and everything on my end was done months before the launch.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all made a story in a global Pantera, the Panini, of course. Were there any particular obstacles along the way?
I mean, yeah, in the sense that luckily, in terms of just moving forward and getting things done, it wasn't too bad. But there were, and luckily, I didn't get sick. No one on the team got sick through that, which is something that didn't happen on everything I was working on. But there were some bumps in the road on some other projects.
I know it was a T-stream today. Oh my god. Okay. Wow.
But with this, that wasn't a problem. I wouldn't necessarily say it was a problem, but it definitely, there was some adjusting I had to do with some of my writing, because a lot of times I'd like to, you go to a coffee shop, you write for a few hours, just get out of the house. I like to do that, and just get adjusted in like a nice quiet coffee shop or someplace public. So that was completely off the table.
Right.
So that was a bit of an obstacle, adjusting to just really writing at home. I think a lot of people like going out sometimes when they write, because it gets rid of, there's no distractions, it's not like, it's a lot easier to just, sort of plow through it instead of being like, oh, let me see what's on TV. Oh, let me see what's on this. Like, oh, I need to take a break. Let me just walk around, and then like, oh, I could go for a hot chocolate or something. It's just easy to like
absolutely.
So yeah, it was. So that adjustment was probably the biggest challenge through writing it.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I've got 2 cats here. If the door is not closed to my office, nothing's getting done. Absolutely not. It is so easy to be like, but in the other room, what if they need something actually, and that is where all of my stuff is.
Yeah.
Easy enough. Absolutely. So that makes perfect sense. I mean, honestly, and pulling this together in just over a year, that's really impressive too. That's very, very cool. Do you have a favorite issue of the series?
It's tough because obviously all of it's necessary, but
please tell me which child is your favorite.
No, it's Jesus, but probably issue 5, just because it wraps everything up, and I think it elevates the rest of the series. It doesn't really wrap everything up, but things happen that elevates the whole thing, and you can go back and read things, and it changes what some people may have thought of things that were going on prior to that. So that's definitely up there. Issue 3 is up there for me too, with the sort of one of the bigger twists at the end of that issue. So
very exciting.
I'm also happy with that.
That's awesome. Today, of course, we are doing a giveaway, and they could win issues 1 through 5. We've got the trade paperback. So everybody who wants to know why those are his favorite, of course, you can find out potentially. Just saying. With that in mind, and kind of in that vein of 5 kind of wrapping it up, what is the most rewarding part of the process for you, or what has it been so far?
I mean, getting the physical copies is always that's for everything. Though it's nice to see that, and just the color work from Lorenzo. And I know Lorenzo couldn't make it today, but I'm pretty sure he has said his favorite issue was issue 2, because he liked. There was it's this whole like gem jungle thing, and he really liked working on that. Some of the strange creatures that were in that issue. Yeah, but yeah, Lorenzo's color work. I love his line work and all of that, but I really think the colors really pop throughout the whole series, and I've heard that over and over again from people really liking the color work. So yeah, and then when you see it in print and all that, it's that's been rewarding, and just the sort of feedback you get. Like the retailer reached out to me today, or I think it was today or late last night, just mentioned that as a retailer, you got the chance to also read the last issue, as he was doing his orders, and it was saying that, he really thought, the whole thing was great. It elevated the whole series and all that. So that kind of stuff's always rewarding to hear.
Yeah, that's so lovely. And that was just yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's fresh. That's amazing. I love that. So for the collaboration with Lorenzo, how did that come together? Was that somebody that you had worked with before? Was that somebody that was collaborated through Mad Cave?
I never worked with Lorenzo before, and we were trying to find an artist, and we were poking around a little bit, not getting too many bites. I mean, at that point, the pandemic had only just started, and I think a lot of people had already locked in some work prior to that.
Yeah.
So it was hard. Probably for a month or so, like really locking someone in. But I became aware of the platform comics anthology contest that they were doing, because a friend of mine, Eric Kalicki, was one of the judges on that. So he'd been talking about it, so I looked it up, and Lorenzo was one of the finalists, and he ended up winning. But we had contacted him prior to that.
Oh, amazing!
And yeah, basically, this was a little sly on my part, but I had sent the PDF over to over to Mad Cave, and I think I was talking already to Chris Fernandez, who's the editor on this book. So I'd sent it over, and was like, oh, like there might be someone in this anthology. I had mentioned another story, but I knew from talking with Eric that, like, Lorenzo was the real standout. So I sent it, not pointing out Lorenzo, in part because I kind of wanted to be like, well, let me see if he's also seeing sort of some of the same stuff I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And he responded back, being like, I looked through it and like this Lorenzo, like that's great. What do you think about Lorenzo? And I was like, yes, let's do that.
Yeah, wow, what a great idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm so glad you noticed. Oh, what an excellent suggestion. I never would have thought of it. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that really worked out. Yeah, and this was his first real Lorenzo's first real professional work.
Wow.
Book, yeah.
That's so lovely, and I'll say it all day of how absolutely magnificently it all came together. So that is very cool and a really cool insight for the audience as well.
Thank you.
In terms of people reading the story, what do you hope that they're able to take away from it?
I think the big takeaway from this story for me, and yeah, what I'm hoping people get out of it is that idea of sometimes you just gotta move on. You gotta appreciate the people who are in your life, who are sticking with you, and you can't dwell on the past. So that's really what this story is about, and I hope is clear and is what people take from it.
That's really lovely. I think that's excellent. And that's definitely something that I feel like I was able to draw from the story and take away from it for sure. Okay. I'm going to ask some questions about you, and they're just going to get continually more existential as we go on.
Sure.
Cool. We'll start easy. What would be the first comic that you fell in love with?
I mean, the first one I got that ended up carrying me through in terms of being into comics from there was Sonic the Hedgehog number 28 from Archie Comics. That was the first one that I got that was mine, and I was in third grade at the time, and I became a collector of comics from that. And if I didn't love that comic and become a collector from that, that has a particular soft spot for me. Beyond that, different things would happen. It would sort of come in waves. I mean, I didn't get into Marvel really until very early 2000s with Ultimate Spider-Man and Runaways. So I definitely have to give some credence to those two series.
Mm-hmm.
I bought Runaways number 1, off the shelf from was in Captain Comics, which doesn't exist anymore, in Plainview, New York.
Wow.
While I was in high school, and that has a special. I had since met Brian K. Vaughan and had him sign the first few issues. So
that's so lovely.
Yeah, so that's up there for me. But it all changes, and different things come up over the years. It's hard because I read so much to be like, ooh, what's the one? But those ones in terms of significance, and Joss Whedon's Astonishing X-Men's up there for me too, because I had a friend Jake at the time, and we would try to do hangouts, and we did this for a big chunk of the series of we'd get together the day it comes out, we'd go to the shop, we'd each pick up our copies, we'd read them, and then discuss them. So yeah, stuff like that really sticks with you.
I'm just so impressed that you remember the issue number of the Sonic comic you started with.
Uh-huh.
That's so impressive.
Well, thank you.
That's it. You're like, oh, I don't know which one. I mean, Sonic number 28, or like you got it. You know it. I think that's really, really lovely. Do you have a copy of that one around?
I don't have one now, but I many years ago, I sold a big lot of, 100 something, Sonic comics. But, I've thought about going back and picking it up. It's not that difficult to find a decent copy of. It hasn't come up recently. I have a few key issues, but not that many, because I'm more into collections especially with like some older stuff. You know, I still buy floppies and still have too many floppies, but you know, I have like is it Uncanny X-Men 129, which is the first Emma Frost and Kitty Pryde, you know, Amazing Spider-Man 300, a couple of things like that. But yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you read mostly comics digitally or in your hands these days?
I mostly read physical comics.
Okay.
I still read digital. You know, you're friends with enough people. You all like sort of share your comics digitally with each other. So I do read a bunch digitally. You know, a bit on, you know, Comixology, a bit on like webtoons. There's a few things, you know, like Tapas and some of those other platforms every once in a while.
Yeah.
I'll dip into that. There's stuff on webtoons like Boyfriends and stuff like that that is quick read. I'll poke into. But yeah, for the most part, I read physical. I have a bunch of like absolutes and omnibuses and things like that. I like reading the bigger versions. The one I'm halfway through, the Wonder Woman by Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chang.
Oh, how lovely.
This one, I'm supposed to be talking with pop culture philosophers, Robbie Billups, next week, and we're going to do like an overview on that.
Amazing.
Run. So, yeah, so I'm going through that, and yeah, I mean, I have a pretty big collection of these. I probably have about 50 or so omnibuses and like about 20 absolutes, and in addition to just like, you know, regular hardcovers and soft covers and things like that. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Your bookshelves are screaming.
Yeah, no, one of them, there's one that just has all like, or most of my X-Men omnibuses on it, and it is buckling. And I don't know what, I know at some point I'm going to have to intervene, but we'll see.
That's future use problem. I would be remiss to not inform you that our chat is absolutely is real into Sonic. The response to Sonic. There was a lot of hype for Sonic in the chat. Specifically, Allie said something that I believe to my core. Give Sonic his teeth back in the new film. Yeah. I'm insulted that they softened our boy. And Avery said, "How is he supposed to eat chili dogs, huh? Without those teeth?"
This is true. I do have the only Sonic thing I have right now is I did pick up the IDW Deluxe collection. Ooh. This is like the first year. It's the first 12 issues, and these are nice. IDW does a great job with these because they have, you know, the like built-in like little bookmark
nice
in the book. But yeah, so I got into this. You know, IDW releases those deluxe collections more slowly, so I don't think the next one's out till like March next year. And I'm like, I'm already reading the nice oversized hardcover. I'll wait, you know, but no, I'm impressed with how good the IDW stuff has been.
Yeah, everyone is very, very hype and impressed that you had it on hand.
Yeah,
you've had all these like references. We brought props. I love to see it. Are there any people in comics that inspire you, or outside of comics, really, but particularly anyone you look up to?
Oh, I mean that's tough.
Yeah, the questions are getting bigger. I told you, we're going up from here.
No, I mean, there's people I work closely with, like Eric Palicki. We just wrapped up the Deadbeats 2 London Calling anthology, and we worked on the first one together. So that was great. You know, I built up a solid relationship with him, with Pat Shand. He has a big hustle with what he does with Kickstarter through Space Between Entertainment.
Nice. Okay.
Does a lot of stuff with that. He worked at Zenescope for years. I mean, he's written hundreds of comics, and he's one of the more underappreciated creators, I think. You know, with all that, he's written a bunch of the Marvel novelizations. You know, the prose work. He's done stuff at Black Mass Studios. He's really out there doing a lot. He's got to be about 20 successful Kickstarters in.
Wow.
At this point, like really, like he's doing a lot. I really admire that and his hustle there. You know, there's so many other people I could, you know, it's tough because, you know, it's that balance of you want to mention some people, but then it's like, if I mention too many people, then it turns into like, oh no, I definitely left people out, all that. But,
right.
You know, I mean, someone that we lost almost 2 years ago now, Howard Cruz, was someone who, I was a fan of, looked up to, share my work with. The last email he had sent me before he passed away was how much he had loved this short story I did for the Dates Volume 3 anthology, and that he hoped I would continue doing like work of that caliber in the future. Yeah, no, and that was a great anthology being too. I really liked what they were doing over there at Margins Publishing. But Rachel Pollack is someone else I've had in a couple of anthologies, and she's she's an incredible talent. I definitely look up to her and her ability to sort of write things that are very absurd, but it's all grounded in something. Because and I love people like Grant Morrison too, but like you read Grant Morrison's like Doom Patrol, and then you see the interviews they've done and things like that. It's always like, oh, well, I just typed random things into a typewriter.
Yeah.
Things happen. But if Rachel Pollack's Doom Patrol, which is finally getting collected as an omnibus next year, all the stuff that's absurd that people go like, that doesn't make any sense. She can be like, oh, this is actually based on like this ancient myth from here and this stuff here. And she can explain where everything sort of comes from, and she's able to tell these stories that are absurd and off the wall, but they're very grounded in real things, and that's something I admire quite a bit.
Yeah, that's so impressive. That's really great. And who is your least favorite? I'm sorry, I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that I could get like applause lines or something like that based on
right.
So some revelations that have come out on a few. But yeah.
But that's a different show. So
yeah, it is.
That is Transmissions from the Cave After Dark. It's a whole nother thing. Okay, so with those people, you named a lot of wonderful people that you've also had the pleasure of working with. What do you look for in a collaborator?
I mean, communication is definitely the biggest thing. And just easygoing, easy to work with, like all that kind of stuff. And I haven't been involved in too many like bad collaborations or anything like that. Luckily, you hear nightmare stories, especially when you're more like really in the indie scene. You're trying to self-publish, like this person taking the money and then disappearing and that kind of stuff. But I've been very fortunate to not have had anything that sort of on that level happen. So that's been good.
That's excellent. All right, that's awesome. So communication, I feel like whenever I get to ask this question to people, it's like something that's answered that it sounds like the same thing you look for in like a partner. It's just like, I want someone that communicates, that's like easygoing and understands me. We have things in common. And I'm just like, yeah, right? That's sweet. I love that.
Yeah.
Is there any genre that you haven't tackled yet that you would like to work in?
Oh, I mean, I like kind of like all genres in a way. I mean, there's, as long as the story's good, that's always been kind of my kind of what I've been leaning towards. I mean, it would be nice to do something that's a bit more like straight up high fantasy could be fun. I haven't really delved too much into that, certainly in like long form. I've hit like sci-fi, hit some of that stuff. Cyberpunk is definitely something that's really up there for me. I'd love to do something that's like more strictly cyberpunk.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've done like historical fiction-y kind of things and stuff like that, and I love that, and I want to keep doing things like that. But that and science fiction, science fantasy. But it would be nice to do something that's a bit more cyberpunk or high fantasy. Those are two things that'd be nice to do.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Well, thank you.
Okay. What's something most people don't know about you, or at least that our audience wouldn't?
Many years ago, I was still a teenager at the time, I reached, second degree black belt in Japanese Shoto.
Wow, okay.
I don't think a lot of people know that.
No, absolutely not. That was so quick. Like you must be on an interview circuit, because like there's nobody like that has heard that question and just been like, got it, done. This is it.
Well, I was prepped. You sent
Yeah.
you let me know, like, to expect the unexpected kind of
Right.
questions. So
Of course.
I had to think them.
That's incredible. I love that. That's really, really wonderful. When did you start practicing?
I mean, I was practicing for like when I was like 4 or 5, and I did
Uh-huh.
it, really through like college and all of that. Yeah.
That's very cool. I love that. That's an excellent answer. That lets people know what to expect. It's, hey, look, we're all nerds here.
Hmm.
Absolutely. But also, some of them could totally kick your ass.
Yeah.
Just like as another option. You've always got something to go back to, and it's being an assassin.
There you go. Exactly.
That's probably it. All right, we're going to take some questions from the audience. Y'all, if you have questions about Becstar, if you have questions about being a black belt,
Mm.
if you have questions in general about comics, we would love to take them now. I also want to run our giveaway. So as soon as we're done taking some questions, we're going to give the chat a word to enter. I think we should just go for the title. Let everybody know. Lock it into their brains. We'll go for Becstar.
Sure.
Fish Approved asked, Joe, would you be down for coffee later? They put a sheetrock in my place today.
Yes, I would, Matt. Thank you for showing up. But yes, that'd be wonderful.
That's the first question to the Q&A. An excellent place to start. Flannel Fries said, how did the story develop? Did it flow or did you have any key moments that you wanted to hit from the beginning?
I mean, I feel like it's a bit of a cop out, but it's like it just sort of we worked so much early on setting up the outline that I kind of hit everything in the outline. We agreed on that. Then I went forward with it. So much of it was already in my mind at the time. There was a little bit in terms of as each script was going, having to go in and kind of be like that, because every issue has some level of a flashback in it, and that was all intentional. I knew I had to do that, but some of the flashbacks, you're doing as you're writing the script, but they all had to be these sort of like vignette moments that would resonate and give people some clues as to what was happening. I really wanted to do it that way instead of doing an exposition dump throughout the book. I think for the most part, I avoided having to do too much in terms of an exposition dump. I think there's like one page in the first issue where there's the flashback of how the original team broke up,
Mm-hmm.
and even then it's one page. So that was really important to me. It was not doing exposition dumps and things like that, because I find too many comics and things like that. It's way too easy to just be like, gee whiz, how do we get into this position? And then having to do like long exposition heavy flashbacks. Instead of doing that, all the flashbacks after that are really vignettes that do a lot of showing rather than just telling. And you can see characters interacting and the decisions they're making. And that's what's informing people on that, rather than just have a character come out and say, gee, I don't know if we can trust so-and-so.
Yeah.
I try to avoid that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that makes perfect sense.
Thank
For somebody in chat earlier, I believe it was Allie and Manny, were talking back and forth about the fashion sense of the characters. And obviously that's kind of something that I know will be between you and Lorenzo. But did you have something in mind for what these characters would look like?
I really wasn't sure exactly. We had some general ideas. I sort of put like a mood board together and sent it over. But Lorenzo really ran with it. Particularly on characters like Oscar. I had like what I pictured Oscar might look like in my head was not what ended up going for with what Lorenzo was doing, but it worked like perfectly. I'm like, oh, okay, I see it now. And that was the case for a few different characters. But like the Shadow Syndicate, like that, I had my mood board. I was like, here are some examples from other things, and Lorenzo stayed really tight on like that kind of look,
right,
and things like that. But yeah, no, it was. I think the fashion was really really important here, and he did such a fantastic job doing it. It's like, it's casual-ish, but it's also has flair, and it's like that kind of stuff. And I imagine that has a lot to do with his different sensibilities and how he had been trained in Italy doing those kind of comics, and I think we'll see that here.
That's awesome. Is there anything for people that are reading multiple things? We've talked about a bunch of stuff that you've worked on today. Is there anything that you feel like carries over between your writings? Something that like you feel like you always end up working into a story?
I mean, the important thing for me is it's always about the characters, and the setting's always like the backdrop. Like that's how I tackle all of this. So like in She Said Destroy, even though it's this like science fantasy story about two goddesses having a final confrontation in the far future, the whole point of it is it's a sister rivalry, and it's these two sisters who had a falling out, and things had reached this point. So for me, it's all that, and other things I'm working on now. It's all about these interpersonal relationships, and it's this backdrop of things happening. That's something that's been pretty consistent with my work.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. I think that's really lovely. I would love to give away a comic. Let's let somebody win a comic. Okay, so we are going to be starting the giveaway now. You will have the opportunity to enter. Of course, I'm always going to let the mods take point on this, but let's say just type in Becstar in chat to enter. Lock that title into your brain. Obviously, even if you don't win today, please go and pick up an issue. Even if you check out the first one, just buy in a little bit, check in, and I promise you'll be absolutely hooked like I was. I would love to know from you, Joe, do you have anything else that you're working on that you want to hype up right now, or you want people to go check out?
I edited Lost on Planet Earth for Comixology Originals, and that just came out in print as a trade through Dark Horse in the last week or two. So if people want to check that out, it's written by Magdalene Passaggio and illustrated by Claudia Guir with lettering by Zach Sam. Incredible. So anyone wants to check that out. I have a short in Pat Shan's Destiny New York Volume 4. You might be able to get that through their website, but you should also pick up the other volumes of that because it's great. I have a short comic in the Yule horror, like Christmas themed horror anthology with Elena Gogol. That's it's 4-pager. Had a lot of fun with it. I'm very proud of that story. That's out later this year. As I mentioned, Deadbeats 2, London Calling. That's in previews right now, Diamond previews. You can get your store to pre-order that. And the first volume, if you missed out on that, is also being resolicited. The first volume has a reunion of Rachel Pollack and Richard Case and John Workman, who's the letterer on that Doom Patrol run. They have a story in that. And then this recent volume, we have stories written by Bill Lobes, Nancy Collins, Ron Mars, Jamal Igle, Liana Kangas, Shay Grayson, Yona Harvey, who was the first Black woman to write Storm in Black Panther and the Crew, Lila Sturgis. Just tons of great, wonderful talent. Adam Gorham, who's the artist on Blue Flame at Ball Comics right now. So any of that, please feel free to check out. There's at least a couple of unannounced projects that I can't go too much into yet, but that should be enough to get people going. And like I mentioned earlier, She Said Destroy, the first issue is free on Vault Comics website, and the trade's available, and you can also download the digital trades in Comixology or Vault's website directly.
That's amazing. Okay, that's awesome. Hey, mods, if you would for me, roll that giveaway. Let's roll it. Choose somebody that will win a trade copy. That's issues 1 through 5 of Becstar. Very, very exciting. I have one more question from the chat before I let you go, actually. I was going to end the Q&A portion, but this is such an excellent comment. Kaylin Rohr asked, what would your Sonic comic be like if you were to write one?
Oh, geez. I mean, it's tough because there's a lot of aspects to Sonic I really like. you know, I am a bit more nostalgic for, a lot of like the freedom fighter type characters. I'd want to play in that sandbox a bit, like Princess Sally Acorn and Antoine and, Bunny Rabbit and those characters. So it'd be nice to sort of do stuff with them, Snivelly, like those characters. Because I know they've kind of moved away from a lot of that. They're focusing more on, like Amy and Shadow and some of the other characters. And that's cool. I like it. And I do think it's been very well done. But I'd like to go back and play in that sandbox a bit more.
That's very cool.
And thank you. And I don't know. I always like Knack the Weasel too. I know he's goes by a different name as well, but some of like the side characters like that, they kind of build things up.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
How do you feel about Idris Elba being announced as Knuckles?
I was so excited. That's great. But you know what that makes me want now is it makes me want a Christian Bale Shadow.
Wow. Yeah.
Right?
Yes. I've got some thinking to do.
Yes, absolutely.
I love it. I'm so into it. Everybody, go and give Joe a follow as well. Are you at Joe Corallo on everything? Is that your handle?
I'm Joe Corallo on Twitter, and then Corallo Joe on Instagram. So,
all right.
Some monster took Joe Corallo before I could get on there.
How absolute dare. I'll be filing a formal complaint. The link is right there in chat. We are, of course, going to take a quick BRB. A huge congrats to Kurt Lorton for winning the giveaway. PM the mods, of course, send a PM to Manny, and they will get you your information and get you your comic. Very exciting.
Great.
And Joe, thank you for being here. I'm going to take out to BRB, and I'll be back in just a moment to wrap it up. All right, everybody. That was so much fun. Thank you for hanging out while we chatted with Joe. Congrats again, Kurt, on winning that giveaway. We're, of course, going to wrap up here, but thank you for joining us for another Transmissions from the Cave. It is so special to be able to show up here every Wednesday and chat with you. As a reminder of that, we do this every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific. Other times elsewhere, I don't understand time. I thought I understood it once. Then 2020 happened. There is no chance that I will be trying ever again. I think it would only get screwed up. So let's talk a little bit also about some of the things that we have going on at Mad Cave this week. Let's talk about in previews. We have A Nightmare in Savannah on 11/9. Very exciting. We have Bountiful Garden issue 3. We have Becstar volume 1, collecting issues 1 through 5. Battle Cats volume 3, issue 5. And a friendly reminder that if you are an artist or author looking to have your work published with Mad Cave Studios, you have 1 week left to enter this year's annual talent search, which is such an incredible opportunity. That was one of the biggest appeals for me when Mad Cave reached out to me to host something like this, was honestly the talent search. I am so proud to have any small part in highlighting the voices of creators from, you know, independent backgrounds that maybe never would have gotten all of these eyes on their art. And I think that that's so wonderful. So you can find all of the submission details on the Mad Cave Studios website. If somebody wouldn't mind dropping a link in chat, in case there's anybody here that wants to go enter into that, go check it out, go find out the details, because we would absolutely love to hear from you. No doubt. Huge thank yous to the team, Allison, Chris, Manny, Frank, Mark, Gio, and the rest of the Mad Cave crew. Thank you to you for showing up every week. Very cool of you. We're slowly growing. We're still pretty new channel here on Twitch, so thank you for letting us do something different here. You can follow me everywhere on the internet at @NotSage. You can, of course, go and follow Joe. And you know what? Go and follow Lorenzo. Lorenzo couldn't be here today, but we would still love it if you would go and show a little bit of support. Make sure to follow Mad Cave Studios on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube as well. Of course, our next show will be Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific next week. We will be talking with publisher Chris Fernandez. And until next time, thanks a lot, friends. Have a good day. Take care of yourselves. You deserve it. And we'll see you soon. Bye, friends. Oh, I'm going to punch the mic on the way out.